the Resilient Mother with another episode of the Resilient Mother podcast. Today with me, I have Sarah Cox. We're going to talk about mastering your unique resilience. And this month, my goal is to bring you lots of different stories and perspectives on ways to do this so you can find your own unique way to master your resilience. Thank you for being here, Sarah, and your little one with us as well. So fun, so authentic. I appreciate that. Please tell us more about you and what drew you to coming on the podcast today.
So my name's Sarah. I have 3 living kids, and I have a daughter in heaven. I've kind of had to learn to be resilient through going through infertility and loss, and then learning how to, parent both living children and my non-living daughter. So kind of a lot of stuff going on. And then just a little about me. I'm originally from Texas, and we're in Georgia now. We moved here right before the pandemic. And I do taxes for a living for my full-time job. So the stuff everybody loves.
Busy season, yeah. Going into the new year.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, when we talked to you, you kind of told me more of the story about your daughter and the movement that started from that. Can you share that? It's really a unique, resilient story. I think will really resonate with someone today.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, we lost Jasmine. She had CDH, which is a congenital diaphragmatic hernia, and then she also had mosaic trisomy 15, and she ended up being stillborn at 32 weeks. And I was lucky that I was surrounded by lots of family and friends who were very supportive, but I just found it to be still such an incredibly lonely time, and I just knew that I didn't want other people who are going through loss to feel that, to ever feel alone or like they were the only one. So I just kind of started from there. I started my website just writing about the ways that I was feeling like after loss and after pregnancy, after loss. And it kind of grew from there. And I started my traveling rainbow skirt. So now it's been, I think I published, it was like 316 stories now. And it's been to almost all 50 states. It's been to other countries, Canada, Australia, the UK, and Peru. And so the whole goal was just to give others the chance to share their stories and basically just to show that there is hope again after going through loss.
Absolutely. I think loss is a part of grief, and grief looks so different for everyone. And I think sometimes people just don't know how to help when someone's grieving, because maybe the way they grieve is different, or maybe it makes them uncomfortable being around negative emotions, because we kind of are grown up to be like, stay positive, be positive. But part of the human experience is we have these deeper emotions. We have the other side of it. And we kind of have to have those opposites to appreciate them both. And so what is some advice that you give to people about approaching someone in loss and grief so that they can actually help? Because I think most people want to help, but they don't really understand how for each unique situation.
I think it's important to know that you saying nothing is worse than you saying the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. So while, there are some things that come across as insensitive, even though I think most people don't mean them to be, I think the absolute worst thing you can do is just disappear and not say anything at all. Because then it just feels like you've been abandoned as the person who's gone through the loss. So I think just the best thing you can do is just show up and say, hey, I'm here if and when you need to talk. And then also saying their baby's name is really important if they named their baby. Because I know, not everybody does, but just knowing others remember and think of your baby means everything.
And so what I'm hearing is isolation is not the solution, and you can't assume their needs are being met or that somebody else is showing up for them. Yes. It's a good idea to check in and say, hey, what do you need? And if you can't meet that need, find someone else who can. Or maybe they don't know, but being alone in any kind of deep emotion is not how we're designed. We're not meant to grieve alone and go through things alone. And we may have faith and we may have our family, but sometimes a special connection with an individual in your life and just having someone listen, I think makes a huge difference. Is that what you found?
Yes, definitely. And, baby loss and pregnancy loss seems to be the thing people are most uncomfortable with, the kind of grief that people are like most uncomfortable. And, you know, that they wouldn't like abandon you if you lost another family member or like a close friend or, you know, your dog, even something. But for some reason, when it comes to pregnancy loss, people just like hightail it out of there. Like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna disappear, you know. And yeah, it is uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable for us too. Like, we didn't want to have to go through it. We don't want to have to learn how to, you know, live without it.
She agrees. I experienced that with divorce in a way too. It was still a loss of a dream. I still grieved the relationship. I still grieved the loss of having the traditional family I thought I would always get to have. And that makes people uncomfortable. So I think sometimes it's because it's something they don't understand. And you don't have to understand it to be supportive. Like, you don't have to understand it to be with somebody in it. And I do think some people are more gifted at sitting in uncomfortable emotions with others than some, I would say, because you really have to have your own stuff together so it doesn't trigger you. And so I think that's some of it. Is I think sometimes people are triggered by their own maybe grief or loss that they haven't processed or they don't know what to do with as well. And so it may be an opportunity for healing on both sides, because you both get to bring up a loss or grief or what being isolated in a situation was like, and you get to realize you're not alone. I think that's the biggest thing, is we aren't alone. Like, this has happened to somebody else. It's not like, oh, this happened to me, I'm so different now, things will never be the same. It's like, sorry, someone else has gone through what you've gone through to some degree, and it would be great to find those people and support each other, or just so you can help each other.
And loss is, you know, one of those things that is so common, yet it's something that we don't talk about.
It's all good. Oh, sweet girl. Sweet girl. I think it's just that it might be a cultural thing too in America, I think, in the United States and in more industrious cultures, because we kind of just get on with life. We don't really, we're very individualistic. And so we do a lot of things in isolation versus other cultures where it's all about the community and what you contribute to the community. And in those situations, I think it's more natural to become a part of it's more acceptable in a lot of ways. Whereas, like, why are you going out of your way? Like, what that they need to deal with that in their own way. Like, I think there's a fine line there. But approaching the person and just asking what they need, just listening and repeating back what they've said, just being there in some form, huge. And that goes for even mental health issues, divorce, loss. I'm not trying to lessen the loss of a child. That's huge. That's huge.
Right. But yeah, it's definitely something we can use in all areas of life. Like, don't abandon people. Don't make them go through stuff alone. Like, be there for them.
It's like, I was a birth mom and I was supported in doing that. I was told it was going to be the best thing and all these things. But honestly, I did it. And then it was like, okay, go on with your life. Act like it never happened.
Exactly.
And I still had to carry the grief and the loss. And I had done an open adoption with the hope of keeping some line of connection, just like you're talking about your child you lost and you named. I still had a connection to this child I carried in my body. That doesn't go away. Just like when you lose a child, that doesn't go away. Those months that you had and that time that you did have is extremely precious to you. But I think people just don't think. They're like, oh, well, it's like they act like grief ends at some point. Like, oh, yes, okay, exactly. Gone through the funeral, you're good. Or you're past pregnancy now. It's been like, there's still something that lingers with you with that much loss. Like, it literally is like a hole in your heart and you're trying to fill it the best that you can. But because someone is so special to you, it's like it can't quite be filled without them. And that's hard to admit, I think, in a lot of ways. Time does make things easier. You find new ways to adapt, but like, you're always carrying that with you. It's a part of you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Especially, people think, oh, well, it's been a year or it's been, whatever. You've had another pregnancy. Now you have a living baby. Like, why are you still sad? Why are you still grieving? And it's like, because I lost a baby. Like, like you said, they're always going to be part of us. We just have to learn how to carry that grief. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that like every day for the rest of your life is going to be you crying all day, every day being sad. Like we can still have happy days and hopeful days. And, you know, still, I always call it like going back to your new normal.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a great article I read a while ago, and it talked about life being kind of two different colors and how there had been a transition, like a loss for this woman. And she talked about how life used to be blue, and now she was trying to make life yellow. And she was just trying to separate those two things so much to heal. And she eventually came to the conclusion that no, life needed to be green. Life needed to be both part of the blue and part of the yellow, and it needed to come together. And that was the new. It was all the parts brought together. And I think that's the thing we need to honor in each other and as people and as mothers more, as we have non-traditional families now, more single parents, even celebrating families that stay together. Let's just celebrate all the parts. Let's celebrate all the blue and the yellow and let someone be green, or all the red and the blue and the purple, or whatever color or experience that they are. Can we just honor that? And can we just celebrate that? And also honor the fact that it's really takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. It takes a lot of courage to admit you're not okay when you're not okay, and to ask for help, or to even say what you need or know what you want in those moments. And I think more honor can be placed on that as well, and be seen as thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for trusting me with that part of you, and honoring that as well.
Well, and especially, you know, after going through the losses and stuff that I have, like I feel that way when people share their stories with me, because I know, you know, sharing about it isn't always easy. And so I'm happy to be able to be that trusted person, you know, for somebody. But I do really feel honored when people do want to share with me. Like that's, you know, like you said, it's a very vulnerable part of yourself. And I do feel, you know, honored that these people do want to share with me.
So with all that we've talked about and your experience, how would you define resilience?
I think it's being able to not move forward or not move on, but like move forward from something that's happened in your life. And even if you're not, you know, the same as you were before, it's learning how to live with what happened and not let it be the thing that defines you, even if it's still a big part of your life, you know, but it's not the only part of your life.
Absolutely. And then with that, because it's the Resilient Mother podcast, what is your favorite part of being a mother? I know.
Oh, yeah, there's, you know, motherhood is definitely the hardest and most rewarding job at the same time.
Yes. No, we're witnessing that right now.
But I really think the best part is just seeing the accomplishments that they have, you know, whether it's like with her, you know, she's still young, so it's sitting up for the first time, or, you know, whatever that may be. And with my older kids, it's, you know, writing the alphabet for the first time, or just those things that, you know, I always look at them like, I made you, like I grew these people, you know,
right.
It's just, I just love their accomplishments. It makes me so proud of them.
In your work that you do, how do you not only help people through grief and that work? I'd love to hear more of your techniques and your strategies with that. But how does this apply to your own kids and your own family? I think children also grieve, and I don't know that people talk about very much about the support they need through those things.
Yeah, and that's kind of a hard subject too. My son was only 3 when we lost Jasmine, so you know, we told him as best we could what happened, and you know, he kind of understood, but he wasn't like fully getting it. He's 9 now, and so he's been asking more questions, and I just make it a point to be as honest as I can with him about, I mean, age appropriate still, you know, but yeah, I just, and we talk about her. I tell my daughter, she's 4 now, and I tell her, you know, you have a big sister. Her name is Jasmine, but she died before you were born. And, you know, death is one of those things that it still makes me uncomfortable to talk about it sometimes, because, it's an uncomfortable thing, and it's not a pleasant thing to talk about ever. But I try to just answer questions and just, make it known that it's okay to talk about her, that it's okay to talk about everything that happened,
Then it's okay for him to feel anything he needs to feel. I think that's the thing we need to honor in children, especially because their emotions are so big and new to them. Yes. So we have to honor, hey, what are you feeling? And, okay, that's this emotion. How do you want to deal with it? I think that's really important, no matter what kids are going through. And there's lots of places where that could apply as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because sometimes I think they don't even know how they're feeling. Like sometimes they can't even define it. So you have to help them kind of define like what it is exactly that they're feeling.
Yes. And give that space. And then maybe give them creative ways to outlet the information. Because I think as we've been talking, people need a way to let it out. They need a way so it doesn't become a volcano. It doesn't become this thing that's kept inside, because that eventually will either create problems in the body for health, or it will show up somewhere else. And so I think for kids too, giving them like some creative outlets, like drawing about it or writing about it or singing about it, or, some kind of playful way that they get to process grief can be helpful as well.
Yeah, definitely. I know my son, he likes to draw. And so there was once that he wanted me to draw a picture with him. And so we were both just drawing pictures, and it made me laugh because we actually drew the exact same picture without looking at each other's. But we were drawing a picture of our family. And so he put Jasmine in there as well.
I love it. Well, and in my faith, just to share, because I'm not quiet about being a woman of God at all, I really believe families are eternal. I don't think that we just end this life and we're separated from them. So I find a lot of comfort in the idea that someday families will be made whole again, and that we will be reconnected, and that we will get the chance to make up for that time that we missed together. And I find a lot of comfort in that idea. And also knowing that they're in a safe place, like knowing that they're well taken care of, and that they're still a part of your life in a sense. Maybe you don't visually see them, but their essence and who they are is still there. And that may make some people, I think, uncomfortable. So I guess it depends on how you want to view it and how you want to see it. But I think families are eternal. I just do. So.
No, I mean, I agree with that as well. And I do look forward to being able to see her again one day. And my son asked me, he's like, well, when we see her in heaven, is she going to be a baby still? Is she going to be, a girl? And I'm like, well, I don't really know the answer to that, but I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah, it would be kind of neat. I actually kind of like that idea of that. Maybe we would get a second chance and get to raise them when we get to, or that kind of thing. I just think that'd be pretty miraculous, but who knows? That's a really good question that I don't think anyone knows the answer to. It's like, so if we're immortal, what age are we going to be when we're immortal? Are we like the age we die? Do we get to pick an age?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. It's just an interesting question, right?
Well, and I always laugh when someone asks me if I want to be younger, because I always think, okay, well then I want the energy of a 3-year-old, I want the body of a 20-year-old, but I want the wisdom of a 100-year-old. That if I want something, that's what I want, because that's what I picture like the next life being, is like being this like very wise, healthy being that can do amazing things. And so in the work that you do with moms in particular, what do you find is the most helpful? Is it community? Is it one-on-one? Do some people need both? And how do you kind of define what each unique individual needs for their needs?
My son just got home. It's I think I try to just start the conversation with with the rainbow skirt stories, for instance. I don't put parameters on it. So it's on the writing. So I say, you can write whatever it is that you feel it's important to share. So if you want to share every detail of what happened, go for it. If you want to just say, I lost my daughter at 32 weeks and just be minimal, that's fine too, because we all have different comfort levels, and some feel better sharing more. Some, maybe this is their first time sharing and they don't really know what they want to share. Some say, well, I was only going to write a little, and then it all just came out. And some, are like, okay, I just, I can't write it all. I can't relive it. And I think there's no right or wrong way, just as there's no right or wrong way for grief. We just have to do what we feel is best for us. And I just try to drive that point in, that there's no right or wrong way, and you're not doing it wrong. You don't have to do something grand and giant to honor your baby. Just thinking about them, remembering them is enough.
Yeah. I like that you're giving them room to be comfortable going at their own pace. I think that's what's really, really important. You can't really have expectations set on that timeline for them. And that's part of just being with them, is just being with them as long as need be. And I think what's important that you just talked about is getting them a place to start, just giving them somewhere to begin. Because then, like you said, with some, it just flowed. And with others, it's like, that's what I can handle today. I can't handle more right now. I'll handle more when I can. But at least they're addressing it so that it doesn't build up and it doesn't cause other problems. And I think it's really special when you find someone that's comfortable and that you can trust with that. And it may not be the first person you approach. It may be the second or third person that you approach. Or it's okay to also realize that don't give up because the first person didn't work out or it didn't go the way you thought. Like, still do the work. Just find the right modality, find the right strategy, find the right person, so that you can be your best self and that you can get through the loss. You can not get through, you can,
but like process it, I guess. And
you can carry it. I think would be the way to put it. You get to choose the way you're going to carry it, because it is going to be a part of you for the rest of your life. And I think that needs to be acknowledged more, of that I'm carrying this person, I'm carrying this with me, and I can heal it as much as I can, but it's still there, like as we spoke about before. And so what time frame do you have it set with the time frame? Do you have a group support group? Is there like a 12-week program? Like, can you explain kind of your process?
No timeline really. It's because it's just different for everybody. So I just, in talking with people and anything that I do, I just let people talk to me at their own pace, and do things at their own pace. A lot of people, some people, not all of them, but don't want to post anything. They don't want their story shared until after their baby's born, like if they're pregnant. And I completely understand that, it's just different. It's just different for everybody. So it's hard to put a timeline on grief. You know?
Absolutely.
So just at your own pace.
Yes. And what are some unique or different ways people could honor the loss of their child that you've seen?
So I think the easiest one, which is something that we do every year, is we celebrate her birthday. We get cupcakes. I buy a candle with however old she would be that year, and we sing her happy birthday, just like anybody else's birthday. At Christmas, we have a stocking for her, and we ask people to send cards with her name on them so that she has something for her stocking. There's different things you can do. You can plant a garden. You can get, you can volunteer or donate to child loss organizations. I think helping other families that are going through loss. And I think even just, putting yourself out there and sharing your story is really important too, because it helps other people know they aren't alone. And I think that's like one of the best things you can do in the lost community in a place that feels so lonely.
Absolutely. I love hearing that. And I've had one other interview session where an organization got together and they were doing things with trees, their lost children, like to carry them with them. And that was the first time I'd even come across that concept, as I haven't had a miscarriage. And so it was kind of this new concept to me, but I thought it was so beautiful that they found a way to still honor this precious soul in their life. And that may be new to some people hearing this and not even thinking about that before, but I would love for that to be a more acceptable, more comfortable thing to talk about, because that's really all somebody's trying to do going through grief, is honor that loved one. They're
Right.
really wanting to honor how special they were in their life, whatever the time was. Just like when someone dies who's been in your life your whole life, it's still wanting to honor and show love for who they were and the life that they are and who they will be in your family or who they will be in whatever the next life looks like for us.
Yeah, and I've seen too, you know, like lots of beautiful pieces of jewelry that you can get to remember your baby with their name, with their birthstone, with anything like that. If you were further along, like a weighted bear, we have a weighted bear that weighs what she weighed when she was born, and so we represent her in our family pictures with that bear.
Oh, I love
things you can do.
And I love hearing these because I just haven't heard them before. So thank you for sharing those. Is there any particular person that you've gotten to work with that it was just profound working with them and they taught you something in the process?
Oh, that's a hard question because I've met a lot of really amazing people in the loss community. But I mean, honestly, I would say just getting to know all of my participants in my spirit project, because some of the stuff that they've been through, and I'm not like, there's no comparison, but like some of them have been through multiple losses, multiple late losses, like just, and they're still here and they're still standing, they're still sharing their story. They're just amazing people. And it's hard to say there's just one person. They've all really made an impact on me, just getting to know them all.
I honor. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I wish we had met under different circumstances, though.
Yeah. Well, yes. But it's interesting how meeting under those circumstances sometimes become the most meaningful and deep. But I think it scares some people because it's not the traditional way of entering a kinship with someone. And it's not one that you would normally personally approach, except for the way that you're doing it, where you're making your mess your message, where you're taking something you went through and you're making it into something beautiful for other people and an experience. And it's allowing growth and healing for people. If people can see it more in that way, I think they can be more comfortable with it as well. Like definitely. In these uncomfortable parts of our life and our journey, we get to build resilience. We get to build love. We get to build something new. And we get to decide what that looks like. We don't have to be stuck in any one emotion or any one circumstance. Our past doesn't determine our future. But we do have to be in the present. And sometimes the present is messy. And sometimes the present is painful. And sometimes the present is hard. But it's temporary. And it is going to change. It is going to transition. And we may need someone to hold our hand along the way. We may need some help on that journey. And it's okay to ask for help. It's really okay to say, I'm not okay. The worst thing you can do when you feel different is to isolate yourself or to be alone in those kind of emotions and in those circumstances. And personally speaking, like I thank goodness for God because he's been there for me when no one was there for me. But I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I would wish that you had someone there. And if I can be that for somebody, that means a lot to me. So I love that you're doing that for other people, because when you know, and when you can validate somebody else and really be like, not only do I understand, I've been there and this is what I did about it. Here's what you can do too. Let's try this. Let's do this together. There's real power in that level of our humanity when we can connect at that place. And it's something we can only do for each other. We are meant to help each other. And both people are raised, like both people are blessed because of that experience.
Yes, definitely.
It's not a thing where one person receives more than the other. Like I benefit as much from coaching people as they say they are benefited from me coaching them. That's what I love about this kind of work, and allowing people to really heal, step into personal development, or just transition into a new phase in their life that they're ready to accept and step into, that gets them closer to their dreams, whether that's family, whether that's a career, whether that's helping others get through something they went through. When we can help each other, I think that's when we're at our best.
Yeah, I agree. It's mutually beneficial, and it feels good to help people.
Absolutely. Well, I loved our discussion today, and your little sweetie has been so cute. And so,
Sorry, she interrupted a little bit.
I'm sure people are like, "Oh, baby, I want to get her cheeks. They're so cute." Where can people find you if they want to work with you?
So my website is journeyforjasmine.com. On social media, Instagram, Facebook, everything, I'm Journey for Jasmine as well. And then the rainbow skirt stories are all on the website. And then I also have my podcast about infertility and loss, which is Finding Hope After Loss.
With the holidays coming up, or is there any special advice you'd give to holidays? Because I know sometimes those hit people harder than other times.
I think it's important to just know what you need. So if you need to be around people, go be around people. And if you need to not be around people, that's okay too. And don't be afraid to say, I can't do it this year. So just know, and sometimes it's okay to not know. It's okay to go and then say, oops, like I need to go. And just, don't be afraid to communicate what you need. You have to put yourself first sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just found with loss and grief, I think the first 2 years, holidays, special days, I think hit a little bit more. After about 2 years, you kind of adjust a little bit more. So to anyone that's in that place, I just thought with the holidays coming up, it might be important to note that so that they can prepare for that. Because if you prepare for it and you have a plan in place, it is easier than just stepping into it and then realizing, oh, I'm not able to function normally in this holiday season. I didn't know it was going to hit me this way, which is fine too. And then again, ask for help, ask for support, and don't feel like something's wrong with you.
Yes.
There's not anything wrong with you if you need to do something different to meet your own needs than you did before. It's okay if you need to approach something differently or change something or start something. Just trust yourself and honor your unique resilience and what that looks like for you.
So, yes, I agree.
Well, listeners, thank you so much for being here, especially on such a tender and special subject as this today. And we'll have more episodes for you on mastering your own unique resilience. Please reach out to Sarah if you found this discussion resonated with you and you'd like to continue this conversation. And we will see you in a